Hi, so today we're going to talk about writing paragraphs, one point at a time. After this lesson, you should be able to write a paragraph using the Peel framework. But before we get to the Peel framework, let's consider what I think the biggest mistake is that people make with paragraphs. Paragraphs that are too long. Sometimes people write paragraphs which spans tens of lines over multiple pages. That's just not working. A paragraph should be one idea, and paragraphs are too long because people go on about a million things. So let's talk about how we can use the Peel framework to write more exact paragraphs. The Peel framework stands for point, evidence, explain, and link. The first thing you must do is bring out what the point is that you're going to make. Why are you writing this paragraph? Once you've stated that, you can provide some evidence or examples that support the point you want to make. Also make sure that you then explain how the evidence supports the point. In fact, what you should be doing is interpreting the evidence or the example for the audience. And finally, you must link this point back to the original point or the next paragraph. This framework makes you think about these four things. And specifically note that the two E's are sometimes a little bit interchangeable. Sometimes it works better to explain while you're giving the evidence, or first explain and then provide an example. The point of any framework is that it forces you to think about something. And once you've thought about it, you can always work with it. So let's do an example. Let's write our first draft paragraph. Of course, we need a topic. So for now, the topic would be how hackers hack your system. And we're going to write 2 paragraphs. So we will start with the point that we want to make. And the first point I want to make is that hackers follow a pattern when attacking systems. And by the way, you'll notice here that I spelled attacking wrong. That is deliberate. And I'm not going to go on about it here. But what you should notice is that in this lesson, these paragraphs that we're writing are by a long shot not perfect. But they serve the purpose to show you how to use the actual Peel framework. In later lessons, we will refine it and we will correct some of these mistakes, like this attacking spelling mistake. So we've made the point. Hackers follow a pattern when attaching systems. Then we will provide some evidence. In 2009, Mike Kloppert of Lockheed Martin CERT modeled the cyber kill chain, and I provide a reference to the blog post which accompanied that conference or workshop where he did that. And I explain further about this cyber kill chain in the explain section as consisting of 6 stages: reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery, exploitation, command and control, and exfiltration. And then I link to the next paragraph. I set the expectation. Consider each of the 6 stages in sequence. In fact, that's actually linking to the next 6 paragraphs and setting expectation. But that is fine because in a way it also links back to the first statement in terms of now we're going to look at in depth how this pattern actually looks. That's what this consider each of the 6 stages in sequence effectively is telling us. So let's continue. The reconnaissance stage is about collecting information. It is a point that I want to make, and now I will provide further examples of that information. Information can be collected passively, for example by browsing the targeted company's website or downloading annual reports. An active information collection approach may involve contacting or visiting the company under false pretenses or doing a port scan. And then I explain how it links to our point. This data could be used to enable further reconnaissance, or I link to the next stages or in the later stages of the attack chain. And so we can carry on now with the second and the third and the fourth and so forth stages. But here you saw that I created 2 paragraphs following the Peel framework, making a point, providing evidence or examples, then explaining a little bit more about how it makes the point, and then how it links back either to the point or to the next thing. So let's talk a little bit about it. You must have some questions, and one of the questions that often is in people's mind is, will the paragraph be perfect? And unfortunately, I need to answer probably not. But that's not the point. It will be a good start, and it certainly is a good way to get thinking about the point. So you might be asking, should I always use Peel? And the answer to that is a resounding no. It is not necessary to always use Peel. In fact, it might become a bit boring and feel a bit over-engineered and monotonous. However, it works very well when you are transitioning between ideas or when you are stuck in your writing, because it forces you to think about 4 points, and that makes it a little bit easier to get pen to paper, or in this case, finger to keyboard. In conclusion, I hope that you realize now that you can use the 4 elements of the Peel framework: point, evidence, explain, and link, to drive your point across in a convincing manner. But also that you can use it to get unstuck in your writing through focused thought. Thank you. Remember, in one of the next lessons, we're going to look at the paragraphs that we just wrote, and we're going to correct some of the language and spelling mistakes, but also working on the phrasing of some of those points further. See you later.